Hey everyone, my name is Jared Bird. I'm with First Integrity Mortgage Services. I'm a loan officer there. I got a special guest here today. Brought in Zach with Authority Appraisals. So, Zach, great to have you here today.
Thanks, Jared. Pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. What we're just going to kind of go into today is just do a little interview style. You know, you're appraiser, so that's one of those hot topics that people like to get more information on. So, again, appreciate you taking the time here today, and just wanted to kind of ask some questions with you and kind of see if we can provide the audience with some more information on the appraisal side.
Great. Yeah, I hope I can bring some value.
Alrighty. So Zach, what is it that to start off, what got you into the appraisal industry?
I've always been interested in real estate. I started reading books when I was younger, and had a good friend that was in the business, got me interested in it, and just went from there.
That's very cool. Now, how long have you been doing it for?
I started doing appraisals in 2003 and got my real estate license in 2008.
Wow, very cool. Very cool. That was an interesting time, I'm sure, to get the
It
license.
was absolutely.
Absolutely there. Now, is there anything that you recommend doing? So if somebody's going to sell their home, is there anything that you recommend doing to gain value? So just some little things to do to gain the value, most value out of your home before you sell it?
Yeah. That's a great question. A lot of times, I think what people can do first and foremost is just make sure that they've got the house cleaned up, tidied up, and freshly painted if it needs paint. So, what I mean by that is a little bit of both inside and outside decluttering, trimming back bushes, just making the house look and feel fresh and clean. And then with the paint, if the paint's in good shape, great. But a lot of times, a fresh coat of paint, where or maybe it's in a neutral color, or maybe the house may be dirty, or if you've got a bold color like a green or a purple or a blue, it might be something you really like, but the typical buyer isn't necessarily in favor of. So
Right.
a nice neutral color throughout is always a win.
Awesome, awesome, very cool. Now, as far as features in the home, I know sometimes we can go and change the steel to brass or steel to copper look or that gold look on the fixtures or features. Maybe another an additional fan. Is there any small features that you recommend to do and to upgrade in the home before you sell?
Yeah, if the house is looking a little dated with some of those features, like an older fan or light fixture, going through and updating those, updating hardware, I think is a great idea. Also, some paint. If you've got the brown trim and the brown doors, a lot of times that's not in so much today as it used to be. So,
Right.
getting a fresh coat of paint on that. And maybe even kitchen cabinets at times too, if you've got some really dated kitchen cabinets. So changing a few of those fixtures and updating some of the colors can go a long way.
Oh, awesome. Okay, well, great. That's fantastic. Fantastic information there. Now, as far as the appraisal side, there are a few different steps and I guess overall appraisal structures that you'd have to take depending on programs and everything like that that we would use. What exactly makes VA and FHA appraisals more intrusive? Like what goes more into those rather than a conventional one?
Yeah. So FHA and VA have some additional requirements above and beyond just going out and valuing the property. And that's because with those programs, the government wants to make sure that there's certain minimum safety standards that are being met in the house. So a few examples of those are in an FHA appraisal, for example, they want us to peek into the attic and crawl space, make sure that everything looks okay in there. Test all the systems, so that's your furnace, your air conditioning, test your appliances, just make sure that everything's on and operable. And then really to make sure that there's nothing glaring that's going to impact the safety or security of the inhabitants. So think about like exposed wiring. A real big one for FHA in older homes as we get is peeling paint. If there's any peeling paint in a house built prior to 1978, FHA wants us to require that it be removed in case it contains lead.
Sure.
So there's lots of different factors like that they've got. Some are very specific, like the paint. Some of them are a little bit more generalized, like safety, security. So if you're looking around your house and you see anything that kind of sticks out at you, that might be something to take a look at before you go to sell.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Now, speaking of reoccurring, I know that you said you kind of run into some things that you've been seeing frequently. So this question is based off reoccurrence. Now, what do you typically see on those appraisal contracts that you have? Whether they come back to subject to repairs. There's times where it'll have like subject to the following repairs. What repairs do you typically see on those whenever says subject to? Like, is there any specific ones you run into a lot?
For on the real estate contracts or the appraisals are you
The
talking about?
appraisals.
The appraisals, yeah. So, a lot of times the peeling paint's a huge one,
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah.
And then anything that comes to mind with safety and security. So it might be old deck boards that are rotting out that need to be fixed, or a loose hand railing. Those are the kind of things that need to be replaced. If there's a hole in the wall, while it's unsightly, if it doesn't impact the safety, usually it's okay.
Gotcha.
But if there's wires hanging out of that hole, well, then you're probably gonna have an appraiser come back and ask you to fix that before they close your loan.
Sure, absolutely. Sounds great. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of, narrowing down some questions here. I know that I got a few more here kind of going in. I wanted to focus a little bit more on the interior side of the home. Is it best to, I know you've mentioned paint, so you said it is best to put fresh paint on the walls. Is that correct? You feel I mean, neutral though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm a big fan of fresh paint. When people go into a house, they want it to look and feel clean. If I think if you go in and anything looks dirty, smells dirty, anything like that at all, it's immediate turn off to the buyer. So having that clean look, fresh feel, I think is really important for a first impression.
Awesome. Awesome. Big topic that I typically get on the appraisal side from borrowers would be basements. Those are one of those things that people get a lot of questions on. So if you have a walkout in your basement, does that count as living area in the basement itself?
Yeah, so it does kind of. So it's living area, but it's not part of what we call the gross living area. So the gross living area is anything that's above grade. So even if you have the walkout, even if you've got three of the four sides of the basement exposed, it's lower level living area rather than main level or gross living area. So it gets counted, but it gets counted in a different way. It doesn't make your 1,500 square foot home 3,000 square foot. It's still 1,500 square foot with 1,500 square foot lower level finish on top of it, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, another big question is the bedrooms in the basement. So what considers a bedroom a bedroom?
A bedroom, yeah. So bedrooms in the basement, they can count as lower level bedrooms. Again, it won't be counted as a main level bedroom. Your house, if you've only got three bedrooms on the main level, it's still a three-bedroom house with maybe a fourth bedroom in the basement, a lower level bedroom. And there's a few different qualifications that make a room a bedroom, particularly in the basement. And but the two most notable are number one, if it has egress. So it's got to have some kind of direct egress, like an egress window out of the room, and it's got to be a certain size. So it's got to be at minimum 70 square feet, which is a pretty small room,
Mhm.
but it's got to at least meet those minimums to be considered a bedroom.
Understood. Absolutely. Okay. I know we touched a little bit on the exterior side of things. You said, getting some shrubs trimmed and stuff like that. Anything else that you recommend? Major on the landscaping side. I know probably curb appeal is a big thing with appraisal. So, kind of just speak a little bit about overall curb appeal and what you recommend on the landscape side.
Yeah. So curb appeal is huge. As soon as somebody drives up to that house, they've automatically got a first impression, right? You mentioned the landscaping. Yeah, I think having it cut back, trimmed, and manicured away from the house is a great first step. Power washing if it needs to be power washed, so that when they walk up, it looks clean. A story that I like to tell sometimes about the importance of curb appeal. I've got a good friend of mine that he bought his first house. He bought a 2,500 square foot two story, single guy, four bedrooms, two and a half baths. And I said, Why did you buy such a big house? And he said, I just really like the way it looked. It looks big. It's a two story. It looks big. It was all brick front. And for him, that was important,
Right.
that it looked good. And he didn't even care how many, what was on the
Hmm.
inside. That curb appeal was paramount for him. And not everybody wants a big looking house, but it's important, I think, to everybody what their house looks like,
Sure.
from the street. So very important.
Absolutely. Very good stuff. Another, I guess to kind of end, one last question I had for those pool lovers out there. Do pools, do they add value to your home? And is that something you see a lot of? And does it add value?
Yeah. So the famous appraisal answer to any question is it depends, right?
Sure.
Which I know can be frustrating at times, but it's just true. So pools, a lot of times here in our market in the Midwest, do add value, but a lot of times they don't add the same amount of value, or the value doesn't equate the cost of the pool. And that how much value it contributes back is really based on a couple of factors. One is the quality of the pool, relative to your market segment. And when I say market segment, what I'm referring to is really more price points. So we're in a first-time home buyer market, move-up buyer, luxury buyer. So if you put in a super cool saltwater pool in a first-time home buyer market, you're probably losing a lot of money on
Yeah,
that deal, right?
absolutely.
But if you put that in a move-up or a luxury buyer, you're gonna recoup more of the costs out of that. So the simple answer is, yeah, you're gonna get some value out, probably not near as much as you're spending on it, but you're gonna get a lot of enjoyment, hopefully, out of that pool too.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, Zach, thank you again so much for taking the time today. Again, my name is Jared with First Integrity. Zach Rhodes here with Authority Appraisals. Zach, how can we contact you?
Yeah. So if you're interested and need any help with an appraisal, you can get free quotes or orders directly off our website at www.authorityappraisals.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jared.